What is happening, YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. Today is Marvel Movie Monday. We are going to be talking about a film that I have been burning with passion to talk about for since I started my YouTube channel, you guys. And that is The Avengers, released in 2012, directed by Joss Whedon, starring Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans as Captain America, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Scarlett Johansson as the Black Widow, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, and Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, and also Tom Hiddleston as Loki. So you guys, I've been waiting to talk about this film for a long time. This was the film that I never knew that I wanted to see my whole entire life. I think in every generation of media nowadays, there's like a film that defines a decade. For the 90s, I guess we could say Titanic. But for me, you guys, the 2010s, it was The Avengers. This film was like 4 years in the making. 4 years in the making. The Marvel Cinematic Universe started with Iron Man in 2008, and from the moment that film ended, it was very apparent that they were building to this film. This film was hyped up with films to follow, which we had Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, which also teased this. We had Iron Man 2, which teased The Avengers, Thor, and Captain America, all leading to this film. So I'm basically going to discuss today, you guys, whether I feel like this film succeeded, if it failed. I'm going to talk about the good, I'm going to talk about the bad, and then I'm ultimately going to just talk how the film ends and what it does for us as comic book fans. I feel like this was the film where it was cool to be a comic book nerd. Now, when I was in high school, I don't want to say people got picked on for liking comic books, but it wasn't as popular as I say it is today. Now you got everybody and their mom who loves comic book movies. No, if you weren't liking comic book movies like I was, or like a lot of my friends, or just people in general, like when it was unpopular to like comic books, I feel like, I don't know, like I'm just playing, you guys. I don't really care. But I'm making a statement that, I knew people who liked comic books and stuff like that way before this film came out, and I enjoy this franchise, you guys. I really do. So let's get into the review. So this film came out in 2012. As I said, I already talked about the cast. Basically, the plot of this film is that Loki comes to Earth and wants to conquer Earth. He wants to be the king, and it picks up basically where Thor, released in 2011, left off, because Loki tried to be the king of Asgard. He failed, and like I said in my Thor review, he seemingly died, but he didn't. He fell to Earth, I guess. So basically, he's given an army, the Chitauri, and he's basically been told to conquer Earth and to give the Tesseract to the person who gave him the army and the power and all that stuff. And I talk about that at the end of the film. I don't want to talk about it right here or at the end of the review. So basically what happens is the Tesseract is stolen by Loki, and he actually takes over the mind of Dr. Selvig, who also is from the Thor movie, and Hawkeye, who had a brief cameo in the Thor movie, played by Jeremy Renner. So he's got them. He's got the Tesseract. And ultimately, this film is awesome because, I mean, from the time it starts, there's never a shortage of action, comedy, drama. I love it. There's so much going on in this film. So basically, the first act of the film is kind of devoted to bringing the Avengers together. We kind of see the Black Widow and what she's been up to since Iron Man 2. We get Captain America, and it picks up right where the Captain America film left off, with him getting acclimated to the current times. So he's meeting the Black Widow, and then the Black Widow ultimately has to bring in the Hulk, Bruce Banner, played by Mark Ruffalo, and that's a pretty awesome scene. So we've got those characters together, and then Nick Fury coming back, played by Samuel Jackson. So we've got all of that going on. They're basically trying to figure out what Loki wants and what he's about, what he's trying to do. So ultimately, we get Agent Coulson back, who has been like the backbone of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the background at this time. So that's really awesome to see Clark Gregg come back and reprise the role as Agent Coulson. And ultimately, Tony Stark is brought in. What happens is Loki has some scheme in Germany, and Captain America shows up, and they have a little battle, a little skirmish, and it actually looks like Loki's about to like take out Captain America until the Black Widow and Iron Man show up and they take him out. And one of the things here is that Captain America feels that it's a little weird that Loki surrenders so easily without much of a fight, and Nick Fury also kind of states the same thing. So one of the things I really like about this film is that we watched this movie and it wasn't like some of like Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the TV show, and some of the comics where they kind of came together so seamlessly. There's like an internal struggle within the Avengers here. They are not the Avengers in this film at the beginning. The Avengers Initiative was something Nick Fury was working on behind the scenes. Tony Stark knew about it. Captain America didn't know much about it, but I think Tony Stark was like the only one, and probably Black Widow too, because Black Widow was kind of like Nick Fury's right hand a little bit. So she probably knew about it too. So they all come in, and Bruce Banner comes in under the guise that they're not looking for the Hulk. And to be completely honest, I don't really know. Even watching this movie, I've seen this movie hundreds of times. I'm not even sure if Nick Fury knew to bring in the Hulk as the Hulk. I'm not sure, you guys. That's just something that I don't know. It seems plausible that he knew that the Hulk was needed, but it's just little nitpicky stuff. It doesn't really matter. So ultimately what we discover is that this was all a plan for Loki to bring them together to kind of like tear them from the inside out, because I think Loki knew that deep down only the Avengers could probably stop him, that, you know, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Earth, nobody could stop him. So what he does is plant dissension within them. He basically, him getting onto the helicarrier was kind of like a plan that he was using to kind of dispatch of the Avengers. So ultimately they start to distrust each other, because what happens is that Captain America wants them to just focus on the mission, which is stopping Loki and figuring out what he wants. Tony Stark really wants to know why Fury has so many secrets, why he's doing the things he's doing, why they're not telling him. And even Bruce Banner's kind of in on this a little bit. And so the Black Widow and Captain America kind of want them to just focus on the mission at hand. And a lot of people like to say that Captain America, The Winter Soldier, was the film where Cap starts to kind of distrust the government and people. But I actually say it's this film, because Cap actually, upon hearing Tony Stark, talk about some of the things he was talking about, he kind of starts to grow suspicious of Fury. And that's when he discovers that they were going to use the Tesseract to build weapons. Nick Fury actually didn't want this to happen, but I mean, he kind of like had to do what he was told to do. But his plan is the Avengers Initiative. That's what Nick Fury wanted. But ultimately, the Worldwide Security Council, they wanted to basically build weapons, and this becomes a point of contention later in the film. So Captain America discovers everything, and that's when the argument scene happens, and that's when Hawkeye and some of Loki's brainwashed assassins and agents come on board the helicarrier and start to cause problems. They try to sink the helicarrier from the sky, blow it out the sky, basically. So you've got Banner's out of control, and now he's turned into the Hulk. So him and Thor get into it, which is a really awesome fight scene, one of the best in the film. In between the Avengers, you got Cap and Iron Man butting heads, them threatening to fight each other. Fury's lost control of the situation, and they actually had Loki was being held, in a prison kind of within the helicarrier, and he actually tricks Thor. He's able to get out, and that's when he stabs Agent Coulson, who quote unquote dies. I mean, if you guys have seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I've only seen season 1. You know what happens with the Coulson character. And that's why I love Coulson so much, because with this film really showed us that he was the glue that brought the Avengers together. And he even says this as he's dying. Nick Fury finds him and tries to reassure him everything's going to be all right. And he staggers to say, hey, boss, this was never going to work. And what he dies before he finishes the sentence. But what he was saying is that this was never going to work if they didn't have something to avenge. And I think that this is an awesome scene because it plays into something Tony Stark does later, and I'll talk about that. So ultimately, Loki gets away. He has the Tesseract. The Hulk has been knocked from the ship. Thor fell because Loki tricked him and stuck him in the containment, and he had to break out. So they don't know where Thor and Banner are. Hawkeye at this point, they had basically the Black Widow knocks him out, and he's able to come to and overcome the brainwashing and everything. So, and then Tony Stark makes it back to New York to kind of try to figure out what to do, what his play is, because he knows that Loki is going to Stark Tower. That's where this final battle is going to be in New York. So it's a really dope scene because his suit is damaged and he's trying to stall Loki a little bit to get, I think it's the Mark 7. Yeah, the Mark 7, which is his next suit in this film, to get that stabilized, get that working. And Loki, there's that scene where Loki throws him out the window and the suit catches him and the suit comes on. And like I said earlier, where Phil Coulson died saying that this was never going to work if they didn't have anything to avenge. And Tony says, you pissed everybody off. And there's one more person you pissed off, and his name was Phil. He was talking about Agent Coulson. And it gives me goosebumps every time I watch this scene. It's just so dope. And from this point on, the movie is straight action. So Captain America has made it into the city with Hawkeye and Black Widow. So they're getting ready to battle. Thor makes it back to the city. He's there to help, and ultimately they all start the final battle. They're trying to get the scepter from Loki in the Tesseract. They're trying to stop everything. Loki, the Chitauri invasion is invading New York City, and it's insane. There's fire explosions. It's just awesome cinematography in this film. And what makes this film, what really gives me goosebumps, my eye-opening moment is when Banner shows up, because what the film teased, and I talked about this in my Incredible Hulk review, you guys. I talked about how that film ended with him supposedly learning how to control the Hulk a little bit in order to make himself become the Hulk and have a little bit of control over it. This movie with Banner played with the idea of how does he control, or how does he do what he does. And ultimately what happens is you see this big Chitauri alien coming towards him, and he says, "That's my secret. I'm always angry." And he turns into the Hulk. The Avengers theme starts to play, and it's something about with the Avengers films, you guys. I don't know. I think the Avengers score is one of the best scores by Alan Silvestri. I think it's one of the best scores in movie cinema history. And every time it plays, it's that moment where the Avengers come together, or it looks like all hope is lost, but they make their final stand, and it's awesome. And so the theme is playing, and you see like a shot of the Avengers going around in a circular motion, and they're basically making their final stand. I have goosebumps even talking about it, you guys. So they're able to stop Loki. They are able to get the scepter and the Tesseract, and the Worldwide Security Council actually launched a nuke into the city of Manhattan to destroy Loki and all the Chitauri creatures that were coming. And Nick Fury was arguing with them, trying to stop that. He was putting his chips on the Avengers, stopping him. So the nuke is coming in, and it's an awesome scene where Fury contacts Tony Stark, lets him know it's coming. So Iron Man is able to like fly out over the bay and grab the nuke, and he's able to, as the Black Widow is trying to close the portal off with Loki's scepter, he tells her don't close it. He takes the missile, he climbs into the wormhole, and it blows up the Chitauri the rest of the invasion, which kills all the Chitauri on Earth and all the monsters and everything. And what I love about this scene, and I'm not going to spoil it for Avengers Endgame, what I love about this scene is that earlier in the film, Cap had told Tony he was never the one that would make the sacrifice play. But this is kind of like complete opposite, because Tony was willing to sacrifice himself to save the Earth. And what makes this so crazy is that this comes full circle in Avengers Endgame. It comes full circle in some of the later films, because what the Russo brothers stated with later films is that Tony Stark could not rest knowing that there was going to always be some kind of evil out there, that he had to do whatever he had to do. I'm not going to spoil it here. If you've seen Avengers Endgame, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So the film's ends. Thor goes back to Asgard with Loki and the Tesseract, and for Loki to probably stand before Odin in judgment, his father and Thor's father. You see Tony Stark and Bruce Banner go off to parts unknown. Captain America on his bike, they take off. The Black Widow gets in a cab with Hawkeye, they go off. And what I love about it is how Maria Hill, played by Kobe Smulders, and she at the end, she says, well, you know, they saved the day, but what happens if, and the Avengers theme is playing while all of this is happening, and she says, what happens if we need them again? You know, they're leaving, some of them are going really far away, and Nick Fury says they'll come back, and she says, how do you know? And he says, because we'll need them to. And it's just awesome, you guys, because at that time they hadn't announced Avengers Age of Ultron. We just eventually knew this can't be the end, and it's just so true to what the Avengers stand for, just always coming together to stop the threat that they needed to stop to save the world, with the following 3 sequels. So the film ends, and we get that mid-credit sequence of none other than Thanos, who was the one who gave Loki the scepter and the told him to get the Tesseract for him. So I'm not gonna lie, you guys, when I first saw this film, I did not know who Thanos was. I didn't know. I had seen pictures of him before, but I didn't know of him. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what they were. I mean, I knew obviously they were teasing that eventually the Avengers were going to have to face him, but I didn't know who he was. I literally had to go on Wikipedia and everything and YouTube videos just to figure this stuff out, because I didn't know who he was. So to come full circle with Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and the whole entire Infinity Saga, which is phase 1, 2, and 3, it was just awesome, you guys. So this film is awesome. This film is almost flawless. I think my only nitpick with this film is that Hawkeye takes a back seat in this film a little bit. He's mind controlled by Loki the entire film. I think that's my only critique about this film. Everything else about this film is awesome. The cast, the supporting cast, Loki as the villain. I don't think this film would have worked with anybody else as the villain, honestly. I think it brought the Avengers together perfectly. Kind of like not bookending, but picking up where Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America, the First Avenger, and the Incredible Hulk, picking up those story arcs where they left off, where those individual films left off, and to bring it here and to show us that this will not be the last Avengers film, that they're going to come together again with that ending line by Nick Fury and just teasing Thanos and everything. This film is awesome, you guys. 5 out of 5 stars. I have a good time with this film. If you've never seen The Avengers, if you're seeing my video for the first time, if you've never seen The Avengers, you need to subscribe to Disney Plus, rewatch all of Phase 1 and watch these films. And that's what I love to do, you guys. I have friends and family who are not really into comic book movies, and I love to sit down and watch these films with them and see their eyes light up when we watch The Avengers, because this film is awesome. So you guys, what do you think of The Avengers, released in 2012? Is it one of the best Avengers films in your opinion? Is it the best film of Phase 1? Look forward to me later today. I'm actually going to do another ranking video. It's going to be all of Phase 1 from the worst to the best, in my opinion, you guys. Just my opinion. So I'll catch you guys later today. I hope you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, and let's have a friendly discussion about this film. What are some of the favorite moments of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and this film for you guys? What are some of your favorite Phase 1 moments? Comment below, let me know, and I'll catch you guys later when I do my ranking for the MCU Phase 1 from the worst to the best, in my opinion. Catch you guys then.